This is Jonathan Blaze with the weekly briefing for Central North Carolina. We have a lot to cover this week, but first I wanted to advertise and provide a heads up that we'll be providing a virtual tropical weather training session this evening on Thursday from 7 to 8 p.m. It's free, open to the public. Anyone can join and listen in. To participate, all you need to do is visit the registration link shown here at the bottom of the screen. When you do that, you'll get a link to the audio and video presentation and how to attend. You can do that on the laptop, on your phone, or really any other kind of tablet device. That has been a very popular event in the past, and we encourage folks to participate if you want to learn more about tropical weather in the Carolinas and across the Atlantic. So getting started with the weather, first up, we have another heat advisory in effect today. In fact, this is a little bit more widespread in terms of its impact than yesterday. The heat advisory is in effect till 8 o'clock. We expect heat index values to range up to 107 degrees in several locations, mainly from the triangle to the east and to the south. The heat today probably will be a little bit more difficult than yesterday and a little bit greater in terms of magnitude, so a heads up on that. The upcoming weather pattern across the region for the next handful of days features a slow-moving cold front that is moving into the Ohio Valley Mid-Atlantic today. That front will slowly sink south over the next couple of days and provide a focus for showers and storms. More on that in a few moments. After that front pushes through our area and settles just to our south near the coast and across South Carolina and Georgia early next week, we'll get a bit of a reprieve from the thunderstorm activity and from the heat. So that'll be some good news, resulting in near normal or average temperatures into the middle of next week. But it's still August and the heat is still a risk for today. Again, we have a heat advisory mainly to locations south and east in Raleigh, and that's because we have expect major to extreme heat-related impacts for today. Tomorrow, we expect a lot more shower and thunderstorm activity, and the air mass cools just slightly. So any heat risk tomorrow on Friday will be confined to the Sandhills and the southern coastal plain, typically places like Fayetteville and Clinton. And then as we head into Saturday and Sunday, the heat risk drifts back into the minor category and becomes less of a concern. So today should be the last day of really sick, perverse heat index and heat impacts, at least for the next many days. We haven't had much rain across the region over the last week or two, but that is changing at least today and tonight as we expect showers and thunderstorms to develop and spread across especially northern parts of central North Carolina. So locations mainly near and north of US 64 is where the storms will be most numerous late this afternoon and evening, and also a few perhaps closer to the coastal plain and near and east of Interstate 95. We expect widespread showers and storms tomorrow with more significant rainfall, with rainfall amounts easily of 1 to 2 inches in some locations. The threat for rainfall shifts toward the coast on Saturday and off the coast on Sunday, so lesser amounts of precipitation, and that drier trend really continues into Monday and Tuesday. A close look at rainfall amounts for Friday, and we're becoming increasingly concerned about the threat of localized heavy rain and potential for flash flooding. But you can see here in the blue colors, those are generally rainfall amounts of a ½ inch to 1.5 inches. And then once we get into the purple shadings, those are rainfall forecast amounts of 1.5 inches to 2 inches, with the reds and darker purples or darker reds maybe up to 3 inches. So locations somewhere here in central North Carolina, quite likely Raleigh, Fayetteville, Charlotte, up to Rocky Mounts are probably locations most at risk for really excessive rainfall. And there is a strong signal for 1 to 3 inches of rain in the area. That will, bring beneficial rain to our region. However, because the air mass is going to be so moist and showers and storms will be very efficient at producing heavy rain, we would not be surprised to see localized amounts in excess of 5 inches. And that could cause flash flooding in some locations, especially in those poor drainage and urban areas. And there's a decent potential that we'll be issuing a flood watch for Friday and Friday night to address this concern. Still a little difficult to pinpoint the exact locations where the heaviest rainfall will set up. That's going to be very small scale and localized. But my greatest concerns would probably be near and south and east of Roanoke Rapids, perhaps the Burlington area, and then down to Charlotte. Looking at the excessive rainfall outlook from the Weather Prediction Center, for today, we just have a marginal risk of more typical summertime thunderstorms and showers. For tomorrow, we do have a much greater risk, a slight risk of, again, active weather with showers and thunderstorms with localized heavy rain, and then that threat shifts off to the east for Saturday. So stay tuned for flooding concerns. Really late tonight, but really ramping up tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening. Here's a closer look at the flash flood risk for Friday. Again, we have a level 2 risk across just about all of central North Carolina, and heavy rainfall rates in excess of 2 to maybe 4 inches per hour could bring flash flooding to parts of the area. Now, looking at severe thunderstorms, today we do actually have a slight risk in effect for locations well to the north and east of Raleigh. That includes places such as Henderson, Roanoke Rapids, and near Rocky Mount. These storms are apt to develop a little bit later than the typical summertime storm. So this is more of like a 5 to 9 o'clock threat. Other storms may develop across the area. Those could develop anytime really this afternoon or evening. But the strongest storms, which will bring the threat of downburst winds and localized chance of some large hail, that threat again is generally across the northern tier and probably will be a little later than typical. And then for tomorrow, we just have a marginal risk for strong storms, mainly south of US 64. Those storms again would be more of a downburst wind potential, and then just general thunder risk on Saturday. Looking at the tropical weather outlook, the official forecast here from the Hurricane Center for the next 7 days highlights no tropical cyclone development is expected. On the right side of the screen, you'll see our typical climatology of the number of hurricanes and tropical storms. We're still approaching the peak of hurricane season, which again is later in September. Where we are on the map here shows that things should really begin ramping up here in the next few weeks, and we'll keep an eye on that. There is a little signal for potential for perhaps some potential tropical cyclone formation well out the Atlantic, out in that main development region. This is for the first week of September and the second, really the last week of August and into the first week of September, well away from our area, but just a signal that the hurricane season is starting to get toward its climatological peak, and we'll need to keep an eye on things out in the Atlantic. The new drought outlook is out today, and the quick slide here shows that just a slight degradation in drought classification for locations in the coastal plain. For most of the area, there's no change. And what that looks like for most of us is still extreme drought in parts of the Virginia border county areas. Unfortunately, that's some of the area that drains into the Falls Lake watershed. For much of central North Carolina and the metro areas of Raleigh, and even down just east of Charlotte, we're in a moderate drought. But there are still locations where severe drought continues near Fayetteville, in the Triad, and up toward the northern coastal plain. So drought continues to be a concern. It's taken us a long time to get in this situation, and it's likely going to take many episodes of rain to get us out of it. Quick look at the 8 to 14 day outlook. Temperature outlook suggests a tendency for temperatures to be near to above normal during this period, which is the last few days of August into the beginning of September. And rainfall outlook just slightly favors above normal rainfall, not a strong signal there. Keep in mind, normal highs for this time of year, right at the beginning of September, is in the mid 80s in the Triad and the upper 80s at Fayetteville and the Raleigh area. Quick highlight of the hazards for the next week or so. Today, a very active day with severe thunderstorm risk, winds, a little bit of hail potentially. Of course, any thunderstorm is going to have lightning, excessive rain is a concern, and extreme heat. Fortunately, the extreme heat, which has often been in the purple shading and the extreme levels over the past couple briefings, is beginning to trend downward. That's because temperatures will get back down to near normal as we head into the middle and early part of next week. And the rainfall threat and storm threat also will decrease as we head into the weekend. So today, and especially Friday, will be our most active weather day and the day we're most concerned about. And then things beginning to relax as we head into next week. On the right side of the screen, you'll see our temperature forecast for the next 7 days. For today, we have highs well into the 90s in many locations, mid-90s at Raleigh and Goldsboro, Fayetteville, places to the south and east. But if we look to the right, we see highs begin to trail off, and we actually get highs in the mid and upper 80s for much of the rest of the 7-day period. Those are temperatures near average, so they're going to feel a lot better, but it's not actually below average. But we'll take any break we can get. And with morning lows in the 60s, that will suggest that the air mass will be slightly less humid as well. So some better weather, quieter weather for Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday with cooler temperatures and reduced storm chances. Hazards and impacts, once again, heat advisories in effect for today. Tomorrow, that looks like that heat risk really tails off. We're concerned about some strong to severe thunderstorms this afternoon, especially across northern parts of the area. A lesser threat on Friday, but really concerned about localized real heavy rain on Friday afternoon into Friday evening. So going to be some adverse weather for sure with that. And a flood watch may be needed for those periods there. That's it for our briefing. I will wish everybody good luck. Please stay weather aware this afternoon and evening, and especially tomorrow, and be prepared for potentially a stormy and difficult commute home in some areas with locally heavy rain and storms.